Hey, it's Maverick Mike here, and the question is, isn't it unfair for God to send people to hell if they don't have a chance to hear about Him? Okay, that's a great question. Now, this is a multi-component question, so I'm going to break it down into a couple of different parts here. So, first things first, the Bible in Romans chapter 3, verse 23 says that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And then in 6:23 it says that for the wages of sin is death. So, based on these two passages, everybody actually deserves to go to hell. So if everyone goes to hell, that would be very fair. So, do you want fairness? Obviously, nobody wants fairness. People want mercy, right? So, it's important to understand that because it recalibrates what is fair. A lot of times our sense of fairness is different than God's view of fairness. So that addresses part of this question. Now, the second part of this question is, what about people who don't get an opportunity to hear about God? Okay, so keep this in mind. People who really want to hear about God, it's not like God's playing hide and seek and trying to make it hard for people to find Him or know about Him. Okay? So people who actually are looking for God, like they really are looking for God, God will find a way to make Himself known to them. Okay? It could be through a vision, it could be through a dream, or maybe a certain circumstance that happens where God sends a messenger perhaps. And we see an example of that in the book of Acts, where an Ethiopian eunuch was reading a part of the Bible, and he had no idea what he was talking about, but he was obviously seeking the truth, seeking the true God. And God brought somebody named Philip to explain to him what he was reading. And so that happens. That happens today still. I believe that still happens today, that God miraculously brings people to other people and helps people to know Him. Okay? Now, with that said, the third part here, is it possible for people to know about God who, let's say, they don't know about Jesus? Or let me take that back. Is it possible to have a relationship with God if you don't know anything about Jesus? Okay? And the answer is yes, it is possible. In the Bible, we have Abraham. Abraham was one of the old guys in the Bible. And he actually, there's no sign that Abraham actually knew anything about Jesus or Jesus coming to die for his sins or anything like that. In fact, if you have a copy of the Bible, you have more access to information about God than Abraham, most likely. Now, that tells us that it's not about how much you know. There are a lot of people who know a lot of things about God. It's not about how much you know. It's about believing what you know. And whatever God has revealed to you, you need to believe it, right? And you have to believe it all as truth. So it's sort of like this. You can't have a relationship with somebody you don't trust, okay? You can't have a relationship with somebody you call a liar. Yeah, so if you don't trust what somebody tells you, there's no relationship, okay? Same thing with God. If you don't trust what God reveals to you, there's no relationship. So you need to trust. You need to have faith, okay? That's another way to say that. You need to believe that it's true. So I hope that my answer kind of breaks down different components of what it means to have a relationship with God and what's really fair. And what about people who don't have a chance to maybe have a Bible or hear about God in a fuller sense of what we're talking about today. So hope that helps, and keep the questions coming.